I gotta go.
This is another new Black World Order TV Productions. Chopper. What's happening, family? Grand Rising.
Yes,
Today
sir.
we want to talk about, does atheism exist in the black man's ancient history?
Well,
Does atheism make an appearance in the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad when he makes reference to us searching the earth for trillions of years trying to find a mystery God, and we found not one?
absolutely. Well, first I gotta open up in the name of Allah, the Beneficent and Merciful, the one God to whom all praises are due, and all of the messengers, all of the prophets. I want to greet you all in those humble greetings. Assalamu alaikum. Only means peace be upon you. Now, we want to talk about being an atheist. We want to talk about being a believer. And what I want to do is try to compare the two and the FS that's going around. And then we're going to compare those two, and then you tell me who's the real atheist and who's the real believer. Now, atheists. Many of us believe that an atheist is one that does not believe in God. That's your belief. That's wrong. And many of us want to believe that a believer is one that believes in God and does everything correct, right, and exact.
That's some more.
That's a lie.
Right.
So, an atheist is not an individual. And I'm standing with an atheist now who's actually videoing this.
A proud black atheist.
See what I'm saying? So, now, let's figure out what that is.
Right.
Atheist is not an individual that does not believe in a God. That's not what he is. He's not an individual that does not believe in a God scientifically. And let me tell you what
does the word
is.
have a cultural connection to a particular ethnic group of people?
No.
Atheist, the word atheos.
Oh, atheos, yes it does. It comes from a Roman word.
Greek.
Greek, I'm sorry, thank you. Greek word. And the Greeks had a belief system, as we all know, their gods that they believe in, from
their
Zeus
pantheon,
to Athena, all of these type things.
Right.
Well, when people came and they traveled, and they did not believe in their gods, therefore they put that name on you. You are an atheist or
who
one
is
without
they
God.
That put this label upon people who rejected the Greek deities? The state?
The state, the government.
Right.
So, and it's just like here. When you don't believe in a particular religious belief, they coin you out and they separate you, because when you don't believe in that particular God or that particular belief, then you become a threat. You become a threat because your ideology can change the thinking of the people. So therefore, let's take the two according to what we believe an atheist and a believer is. Let's just take that pattern that an atheist is one that does not believe in God, and let's take the believer and let's compare the two. Now, an individual every year that feeds the poor, an individual that goes out and he teaches the children, is this supposed to be the actions of an atheist or a believer?
Supposed to be more so the actions of a believer.
Because an atheist has no reason to do good.
Because the believer has an, what they say, an apostolism to him.
Absolutely.
He believes that he's sent forth, right, to spread his particular doctrine in order to salvage the people.
Absolutely. Now, when we have... Wait a minute, you're not supposed to be in this video.
I'm sorry.
You didn't pay me for this. So you can't get in this video. Did he pay us for this? No, I'm just kidding. This is my brother Nathan, y'all. This is the one that hits up on the Facebook page. Go ahead, what was you going to say, brother?
I was going to say, brother, that the believer, because of how he believes, believes he has an obligation to do what he's doing in serving his deity that he serves.
Right, absolutely. Now, when we begin to talk about believers and atheists, one who has a belief in the Creator, or one who has a privilege in the Creator. In other words, he has a duty. By being a believer, your job is to do righteous things. Well, here is an atheist now that he goes out and he feeds the poor. Every Thanksgiving, Every Thanksgiving, this individual goes out and he feeds. He sits down and he teaches the babies math.
Yes, I do.
Every June, July, right out here.
The fourth or the third weekend of July, we always have
Black Family Day.
Right.
Now, this is a person that does not believe in God. Now, here we have the believer. We have to deal with words like hypocrites. We have to deal with words like disbeliever. And no matter what religious denomination you in, there's always some FS in it. I don't care where you are. There's always going to be an argument because we are arguing amongst one another. However, when we get to the atheist, the one that doesn't believe in the Creator or doesn't believe in God, he's doing all the things that the believer's supposed to do. And here is the believer with all the FS he's doing, is putting in the place of the atheist. So I have to ask the question, when an individual say that he's an atheist, let me back up a minute, as I gave the analogy a while back. You have a bank robber.
And we're talking about an atheist, not a God hater.
Right. We're talking about an atheist according to the Society of America, is one that does not believe in God, so he has no reason to want to do good because he doesn't have to answer them.
Well, that's what they think.
According to what they think. So here we go. We got a alarm that goes off. Bank being robbed. People getting smoked in there, killed every day. Bam, bam, bam. So now a fire truck shows up. And the fireman jumps out the truck and brings out his water hose and says, "You are under arrest." What's wrong with that picture?
Firemen don't show up for police calls.
Absolutely.
Unless the police call them.
Absolutely. So now we have the atheists feeding the poor. We have the atheists going out and trying to bring our lives together for the betterment.
And the atheist is trying to unify believers.
Trying to unify the believers. But it's the believers that are out here, the so-called believers that are out here, that are constantly bringing FS into the game.
Molesting children.
Absolutely.
Scamming.
And these are the ones you see in the strip club. These are the ones that are backbiting. Those are not the attributes of a believer. That is the attributes of a disbeliever. And a disbeliever is the one that you call an atheist, the one that does not believe in God. The 10 Commandments or laws, they aren't put into place for people that are doing good. That's not how it happens.
Where there is no sin, there is no law.
Picture that.
Where there is law, there is sin.
Absolutely. So it said that sin is the transgression of the law, meaning to go against. Well, if you have a believer that's out here doing all the foolishness, that's doing all the FS, and that are trying to put these extremities on the individual, that is not what the Quran or the Bible say is a believer. Let's go and view some scriptures, if you will. Let's deal with what Jesus said. When he speaks, he said, let this mind, when he said, let this mind be in you as it is in Christ Jesus. What type of mind did he have? It didn't say body, it didn't say blood. It said, let this mind be in you. Well, what type of mind did Jesus have? What did he do? What was the whole purpose of this man and his job? If in fact we believe that he supposed to have came and died for our sins, don't you think you have an obligation to an individual like that? So here it is, and the Quran said we must exalt one another the truth and exalt one another the patience. How do you exalt someone to truth? How do you do that? How do you put a person above truth or on the equal line? Obviously, if you're going to exalt one another the truth, then that means there's something about this individual that goes beyond what's supposed to be done. It goes beyond the word righteousness. So here we are now with the atheist. He's out saving lives. I remember I told a person one time, they said, well, what are you doing? I said, we're out here with NBWO and BYC. We're out here saving lives. Now, this is a believer now that's in the church, and the person hit me back and told me, you know you're not doing that, right? I was flabbergasted, but when I looked for you, when I came to you and I said that our babies out here are dying by the gunshot. Right. Our babies out here dying, being molested by grown folks. Our babies are being molested by the religious clergy. I don't see you out here. When it comes time to go do the work, I don't see you out here. So you can't sit in your church You can't sit in your synagogue. You can't sit in your mosque on Sundays or whatever the case may be whenever you attend and think that everything's going to be all right. You cannot be like the ostrich and stick your head in the sand and hope that it's all going away.
Right.
Not going to happen. You have to physically get out and do something. So once again, we put the challenge before the atheist and before the believer. And if being an atheist means that I have to go out and I don't believe in no God, that's a lie. Never said he didn't believe in a creator, because obviously something created it. Something created it. And in the Nation of Islam, we have a lesson that tells us about this mystery God.
Right.
And it tells us that we search for trillions and trillions of years. And after searching, we then later learned that there was no mystery God, that it came to be the Son of Man. Well, the Son of Man is the son of a woman, am I right?
Can I hold your point? When you say we search the earth for trillions of years,
yes,
and we look for a mystery God, and the answer was we found none.
No, found none. Found none. But what made that God a mystery? What made him a mystery? So let me get this straight now.
Somebody was teaching us about God, or about a concept of a deity,
meaning that there was
they began to question
that took place.
Right.
So if we search for trillions of years for this mystery God, my question is, well, what was we serving before we begin to search? And if we had to search, did we get dissatisfied with what we already had? And what caused the dissatisfaction?
And what made us call it a mystery?
And so after we searched, my question is, where did we search? I mean,
they said we searched the entire earth.
The entire earth.
That's what it said.
And the heavens and the earth. We searched it and realized that it was the Son of Man. Well, how do you come to that conclusion? And who came to such a conclusion that everybody agreed to? And when did this conclusion take place?
And where is it written?
And
outside of our belief system.
Absolutely.
See, can you find primary evidence for this outside of that story?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Or are we being too skeptic?
Well, we are being, I think,
is there anything wrong with, is there really anything wrong with asking a question?
No, no, that's freedom of speech, and this is what I think our religious houses have to get over. Just because I ask a question that's in opposition to your belief, don't count it out. Because remember, at one time, the religious belief system believed that the earth was flat. Right. Until somebody had the testicular fortitude to get in a boat and sail it. But when they came back with that knowledge, guess what they was called? An atheist. They was called an atheist because they didn't believe in the set God system of that particular country or that particular kingdom. Therefore, we came up with these different ideologies. Let's go to the Quran and let's go to the Bible and look at Abraham. Said that Abraham, now remember, all scriptures considered Abraham the father of the righteous. All of them.
True and upright.
However.
Was he a Christian?
No.
Was he a Jew?
Not a Christian.
Was he a Jew?
No, he wasn't.
Was he Muslim?
No, he wasn't.
Okay.
Now let's.
But he was a good man.
He was a good man. But let's take a look at what Scripture says about Abraham. Say that Abraham sat back one day. Remember, he began to think.
Question stuff too.
About.
He was skeptical
the reality of God. Excuse me. So Abraham said that Abraham looked at the moon, and when the day came, he says, "No, that's not my God." He looked at the stars. When the day came, he says, "Well, can't be the stars because it's gone." Then he looked at the sun and he says, "That's my God." And then after the sun left, he says, "Wait a minute. The God that I serve is the creator of both the sun, moon, and the stars, but none of you consider him an atheist. None of you consider him or question him because he began to question the reality of God."
Right.
However,
so when Abraham rejected some of these ideas, did those people that adhered or subscribed to those ideas consider him to be a disbeliever now?
Yes, they did, and let me tell you where. Now, there was a story that goes to, it's in the Muslim holy book, the Holy Quran, said that at the time there was idols. Remember, same Kaaba now for you Muslims, where there were 360 idols in the house of God.
Right.
Let me back that up because some of y'all might have missed that. the holy place of God, the Kaaba, where Muslims went to pray, where the holy Kaaba is, said that there was 360 idols inside of God's house. And Abraham, this Abraham now, he had to go in and make an assumption to the people, so that there was 3 gods. There was one this tall, there was some 30 feet tall, and then there was one about little teeny weeny God. So Abraham went into the people and he was telling them about that the gods they had made out of stone, made out of wood, that they was false gods. Now you going in telling the people for thousands of years who worship, this is my God. They prayed to it. They bowed to it. So let me tell you what the people woke up the next morning and they saw the big gods gone. And when the people came back in that morning, there was a God this big standing. By the way, this black woman too.
The black woman is God?
Yes. So when the people came back into the house of God, all of the statues were busted up. And there was a little teeny weeny God left. So the people went and got Abraham. Now we're talking about God. Now we're talking about the essence of God.
And so people's concepts.
And people's concepts of God.
That have been attacked.
Absolutely. So they grabbed Abraham and they roughed him up and they brought him in. They said, Abraham, we know you did it because last night you were talking about what they worshiping was some garbage. Right. The people consider him an atheist because they didn't believe in the God.
They consider him a disbeliever.
They consider him beyond disbelief.
So when I say,
right,
the real black atheist,
right,
when I say, that the Jesus, the Yahweh, and the Allah of the Quran and the Bible must also be questioned through their existence.
See?
Right? So then they get mad at me. Like they got mad at Abraham.
Exactly.
But I'm going through some of the nuances that Abraham went through.
Absolutely.
Now if Allah was pleased with Abraham, traveling through the different concepts, seeing the good parts, the bad parts, and then grabbing the most best part out of it, the understanding.
That's it.
What's wrong with me doing that?
No.
What's wrong with me saying, I know I didn't get here by happenstance.
Absolutely.
There had to be a creator or a power that brought this into existence. But this is an atheist talk.
However,
now, keep going.
When they came back and they saw the little statue, they said, Abraham, what happened to our gods?
I gave them the business.
Abraham looked at him, and the little bitty God that was left made of wood. Abraham said, well, ask him. He the one done it. See what he take. So they looked, so he caused them to think now. They made this by hand. It ain't no good and well this little bitty statue didn't destroy all them big statues.
They knew it was bullshit from the jump.
But they couldn't say nothing because if they challenged that,
then they would say
have to acknowledge
that one doesn't exist.
Absolutely. So when you hear about...
So the one God concept was saved.
Absolutely.
To be questioned
so
later
therefore,
on.
when you have individuals that question your belief, that question the resurrection of Jesus, that question Allah, that question FARRAKHAN, that question Elijah Muhammad, they question your mama, whoever it is, don't get upset.
Right.
Don't get upset because they are seeking knowledge. Your job is to make it so plain that a 7-year-old child can understand it. But you know why you can't? Because you're not studying. And then you get in your feelings. My cousin has 100% atheist to the bone marrow. I am a believer.
Right.
But you know, we do this every day. He asked me, okay, well, since that's God, what's that? But what that does, that sharpens me.
Right.
That not only sharpens me, but it helps you get out your feelings. And most of all, what it does, when he say something, I say, that's a good question. I go back to the lab. I ain't talking about to the crib, to the house. Well, man, this ain't pizza, and this ain't none of that.
Right.
I take it back to my mentals, and I get on Google. We can do that. It's okay to get on Google and look it up. It's all right.
Right.
I get on Google, and I look it up, and I say, wait a minute. Then I come back with an answer. I say, how about this right here? Then he'll say, that's a good one. Then we'll go about this. And one last thing about atheists and their non-belief in God, that's a lie. Here we go. Now, let's talk about the math, because it's all intertwines into one subject. Now, many of us say that when we begin to look at math, we can take numbers and do whatever we want with them. And I've heard King Shah do many things with the math. I love the mathematical system. But we don't want to hear it when it applies to the Creator or our lives. How can you do that? You got a book in the Bible, fourth book called Numbers.
The fourth book is called Numbers.
It's called Numbers.
And if Abraham was a real character, he got to be still counting the stars.
See what I'm saying?
In this boundless universe.
Absolutely. And then,
I mean, how does a man count the stars in a boundless universe?
You can't. So then Revelation,
wait a minute, say what? You can't what?
You can't do that. How you gonna count the stars? How you gonna do that? That's just like saying count the hands.
In a lifespan of a human?
Not unless you. So
in the lifespan of a human, one human can't search the earth for trillions of years neither.
The book of Revelation says this: count the number of a beast. Let's stop right now.
Wait a minute, God told you to count.
He said count the number of a beast. How you gonna count the number of the beast? For it shall be the number of a man. Well,
don't put my picture in the post office.
Women, come here.
Yes, sir. So if we are counting the number, counting the number of a beast, but first of all, if you're not dealing with numbers, how you gonna count? How you gonna do that? This is scripture telling you to count the number of a beast. For it shall be the number of a man. Well, my question is, how do you take the number of a beast and then account it to a number of a man? How do you do that? So my thing is, beloved, is that we go through this every single day about what we are. Okay, fine, you want me to be a Christian? I got you. You want me to be the Hebrew Israelite? Okay, I'll stand firm. You want me to be FOI? Absolutely. However, all of us trying to be something, but none of us ever ask the most important question of them all. What are you doing? What are you doing? And now back to the case of the atheist and the believer. When I ask the atheist, what are you doing? The one that don't believe, as we say, the one that we throw under the dirt, he's the one that has school for the children. He's the one that's going around feeding. He's the one that's going around having family days so that we all can get together. He's the one that's holding chess tournament. He's the one that's out with oils, incense, so that the people can have a better life. He's the one that's going out and speaking to people on the reality of self. However, when I look at the believer, when I look downtown, what are you believing in? Do you actually believe in the power of God? Then what you should be doing, instead of marching up and down Broad Street, believe you can go in Hillside. Believe you can go in Mosby. Believe you can go in Jackson Ward and change the condition and lives of the people. You know why you don't go in there? Because in reality, you're scared. That's a punkified move. You say you got a God that's beneficent and merciful, all-knowing, all-wise. I bet John the Baptist thought different when he threw him in there, got ate up, but I get it now. It was for God. Well, let me see y'all help us then. Let me see y'all help New Black World Order, BYC, Richmond, Virginia. Help us go into these projects with God and reach our people, but it's the atheists that are doing that. It's the atheists that are standing side by side with me and BYC and going and getting our people, keep them from killing each other. I'm tired of burying mine, and you're not going to bury them no more. And I'm not going to do 2,000 years for you neither. Those days are out.
Because some people don't want to come out unless it's a photo op.
Well, what now? Is that a believer or is that an atheist? Which one is that? Some of us don't want to come out unless the weather warm, or some of us don't want to help unless I go to your religious institution. So let me